DSP, the digital streaming platforms. Welcome again, Kate, to
Thank you.
Star Good Morning Show. Of course, we want to know what has Telem been doing. Of course, people can maybe Telem. People think it's a communication company, mobile telecommunication company. The name alone, Telem. But of course, your own mandate is quite different
Yeah.
from what people think. Can you please explain to us about Telem?
Yeah, I would be happy to. First of all, thank you for having me here. It's a pleasure to be here with you. So, Telem Uncommon Sounds started as an initiative out of myself and two other musicians, working musicians here in Freetown. And we started because we wanted to put together kind of a songwriter's circle to be able to share the music that we were doing and to build it together. And there are a lot of people, I think, like the three of us, who are making music that's a little bit uncommon, something that doesn't sound like what you would normally hear. And so we thought, well, how can we build on what we're doing and try and provide a platform for lots of musicians who are making all different kinds of musics to make their music, to perform it, and then to get it out into global music platforms and music channels. And so we just started bit by bit. We did one concert, and after we did that concert, it was very successful. We had a wonderful show featuring some additional artists in addition to ourselves. We did a songwriting retreat where we went off for a few days and just, day after day working on coming up with new songs together. We did a music production masterclass. Solos Beat was the teacher for that. Just offering a few days at a time for people to come together and learn some of the more nuanced elements of how to actually produce music together. We did another show, and then so bit by bit, as we kind of go along and make our way doing different kinds of things, seeing where there's interest, trying to find a way to showcase lots of different artists. We're now at this point where we're looking to see how can we keep contributing to make sure that our music ecosystem is as flourishing as it can be. And so that's our goal at the moment.
I think it's a good one, but the acceptance, because talking about an uncommon sound that people think it's not part of what we've been hearing. This sounds quite different. Maybe sometimes people might flout at it. No, this is not of our music in Sierra Leone here. But you coming with an uncommon sound that, of course, it will not be pleasing to the ear, but with time, more especially, I think I watched one of your videos when you do one of these jazz thing, then you started to sing. So it was playing and you started to sing, like it was so not pleasing to the ear, but when listening, you take your time to go through it. Oh, this is just a creative thing. Yes. What has been some of the responses from people concerning your common sounds, the acceptance and all of this?
Yeah, it's a great question, and I think part of what we want to try to do is for ourselves as a group and the musicians that we featured on the platform play so many different genres of music, from jazz, like you mentioned, acoustic guitar, we have Afro soul, we have just like a whole variety. Solo himself does Afro jazz, Afro fusion. There's just a whole variety of different kinds of music that we're presenting. And that's part of the idea, is to offer something that's a little bit different than what you're hearing. And we found that there are lots of people who are looking for that fresh inspiration, something they haven't heard before. It may not be for everybody. Sometimes we all get in this way when we get in a mood and we just want to listen to this one musician who we know we like, and we want to listen to that, and that's fine. But part of what we're trying to do is provide spaces for people who are doing something different to keep expanding the boundaries of what's creatively happening.
People ask, why is it that the band of Telem, or the group of people, not so huge, not so large, just like you, another lady like Harold, Solos Beats, but you giving us a quality sound without a large amount of people coming together. It has been the usual thing, like we'll have like the bass guitarist, the drummer, the percussionist, all these people making a band, but you're just like 4 or 5 of you. Why is it that not so large team of Telem?
Well, so each time we do a concert, we try to feature new performers, and so there's been a core of us, like to have any live music, you need a certain, number of things to just kind of keep the music going. You need that piano, the guitar, the percussion, the singing. But we try each time to feature somebody new. So we had the Secret Sessions concert recently where we didn't tell anybody the location or the performers until 24 hours ahead. And when they arrived, they found one of them was Gwen Allen, who's an established performer. One of them was Boy Manya, who's 17 years old, like an up-and-coming, I think she's a musical genius. She has an incredible voice. We featured Reeves, we featured Wally, we featured lots of different performers on the stage, and that's, I think, part of the goal is each time, and we have a show coming up on November 26th, and we have some new performers for that as well. So, as musicians and as creatives, we're also just trying to go at the speed of quality. Yeah. We try, we try not to do something so big that we can't manage it and make sure that we're doing it well. We just want to go slowly bit by bit and make sure that if we're inviting somebody onto a platform, that we're providing a high quality platform for them to share their art and their talent. So everything takes time.
Okay, so is it to say that you bring in this initiative and it's so creative that you guys have found out that most times these musicians tend to use other people's sound or imitate other people, so you decided to bring this creativity?
Yeah, so I think a lot of times when people make music, they think it needs to sound like music from Nigeria or Ghana or South Africa or Kenya or whatever. And they're wonderful music genres. I mean, there's a reason those genres are so popular over the whole world. And the whole world wants to consume those genres that are being put on Spotify and Apple and everything. And we have amazing music here too. It's not as common to find it on Spotify. I don't know if you use Spotify, but on Spotify you can look at different playlists that are curated. So for example, if you like music coming from Kenya, there are so many different playlists that Spotify has put together. If you look for This is Sierra Leone, you'll find individual users who've put their playlists, but you won't find something that's globally curated as Sierra Leonean music. So we're asking, why is that? And it turns out it's because there aren't as many of our musicians on these platforms. But as you can see, Spotify came here, I think 2 years ago. TuneCore is one of the few music distribution companies, and we'll talk about that in a bit, that covers Sierra Leone. The world wants what the continent has to offer in terms of music, and we want to make sure that Sierra Leonean musicians are in the forefront of offering them too. So that's why we're trying to make sure that we're able to, get as many people as possible into these global channels where there's so much demand for their songs.
So you spoke about Spotify, and you guys are trying to sensitize these people out there. But most times people say most of Sierra Leoneans, they do not even know about this platform. So how do you intend to popularize the sensitization process?
Yeah, it's a great question. I think a lot of people are familiar with Audiomack and Mumgbay, YouTube, SoundCloud. And these are great ways of, just making sure your music is online so that people can hear it. There are really few barriers to access. I mean, you have to make sure you have a data connection for sure. Once you establish that, you have a light source, you can get your music up there, that's fine. And that will, I think, continue to be a way that a lot of people share music. But there's a lot of money that's going missing for people who aren't properly registering their music and putting it through distribution channels where they'll be able to collect royalties when that music is played in a whole different number of market situations. So that's part of why we want to bring some of the awareness to the ways that it is possible for people here to take advantage of that. It may not be, loads and loads of money right away. You still have to work, build your community, build your audience. Maybe you have a lot of people on Audiomack who are following you, and you can use that to drive people to a channel where you'll be actually making some money off of it. So we're thinking about how these things are all complementary and work together so that there are more Sierra Leonean musicians who have the ability to really make a living off of their craft and be contributing something.
Of course, Telem is partnering with TuneCore, just as you explained about the distribution commons, of course, digital streaming platforms. On the 5th of November 2022, you held a conference bringing musicians or entertainers together telling them about the TuneCore platform and how they can benefit from some of these things you are explaining. But for viewers for the first time, I want listening to what you're saying about TuneCore. What is TuneCore and what are their aims and objectives?
Their aims and objectives, sure. Like I said, if you are a musician and you want to have your music on Apple Music, for example, you need to use a third-party company called a music distributor and a publisher to first make sure that your music is copyrighted, that you own the rights to it and other people can't use it and say that it's their own. And then you need to distribute it. You need to get it to these places that accept music only from distributors. So TuneCore does that for people. And there's lots of these different platforms, CD Baby, DistroKid, there's a lot of them in the world. Not all of them actually cover Sierra Leone, and TuneCore made a conscious choice in the past 2 years or so to hire somebody to lead East and West Africa. Her name is Chioma Onachukwu, and she came for this workshop this weekend. It was her first time to Sierra Leone, and it's one of their markets within her broader portfolio. So they made a decision to say, no, we want to invest in what's happening with the Sierra Leonean music scene and help get it out into the world. So we became aware that they covered Sierra Leone as a country and reached out to them to say, hey, can we partner, because there's so much great music, we're not seeing it on these platforms at the rates we would want to see. Can we do something together? So we were able to partner. She came here. We held a workshop on the topic of, music distribution. How does it actually work? Because it's confusing. I still remain confused about elements of it. It's a business that has a lot of unique complexities to it. But she kind of laid out, okay, this is how it works. She talked about how you can use the TuneCore platform to distribute your music. And then we were able to have a panel discussion that sort of zoomed out to look at the bigger picture, like, if what we want to do is really unlock the creative economy in Sierra Leone, what are the kinds of things that we can do? And so that was part of the conversation as well.
Of course, Sierra Leone has gone through some sad stories concerning entertainment, not gaining royalty from songs. Sometimes a musician tends to, let me do this song because I want to do it, and after that, it's just that. No way. Sometimes musicians will tell you that I've poured like 8, 9 million, 10 million in my songs and videos just for the people like just see me no more, and then that just pass. But people are really not, and this has gone to the heart of them being discouraged about investing or taking the entertainment business serious. So what do you think with TuneCore and Telem? Will it be successful if they can use this platform and utilize all the facilities in it? Will be successful for them to gain what they're missing?
Yeah, I guess it depends on the individual musician and what their goals are. If they have a goal of getting their music out into the world more broadly,
okay.
At this point, all of the pieces are there. I'm not saying it's the easiest thing in the world, but the pieces are there to make it happen. So you can make your music, you can record it in a studio, you can work, the piece of things that's about copyright, publishing, intellectual property is something we need to get into more deeply. That needs a little bit more work, but you can distribute it, and once it's distributed, you can promote it. Those pieces are there. What we're trying to do in collaboration, not just with TuneCore, we've been working very closely with Orange Digital Center is where this workshop was. So is to try and provide education and awareness about how to do each of those things so that the whole pathway is ideally as smooth as possible. So for example, the people who participated in our workshop got a 1-year free access to upload their music for distribution onto the TuneCore platform. And we're very grateful also to Orange Digital Center that they've offered some time slots for people to come and use the data to be able to upload the songs. We're aware that cost is an issue, we're aware that data is an issue, sort of money payment platforms. I think we would love to see TuneCore and other entities move in the direction of mobile money, because that makes things a lot more accessible rather than credit cards or debit cards. It can be difficult with those. So we're trying to work out each of these things so that through the whole sort of process, it becomes as fluid as possible. And hopefully, the more that we're able to all work together and contribute what we can to make that process smooth, then we see less and less discouragement. The discouragement is real, and we heard a lot about that in the workshop and the conversation. People who've been so dedicated to their craft over so many years, in spite of the frustrations, to kind of keep going with their music, and that's really honorable. That shows you how much creative determination there is, and really what we want to try to do is work out these technical elements so that it just becomes a bit easier and more fluid.
So, is it that Telem and TuneCore are planning to have all Sierra Leonean musicians on board, or if you want, basically presently, if you want to come on board, you have to pay for your music to be distributed, because you already said you guys gave 1 year free to these guests you invited?
Yeah, that's a good question. So for this partnership between Telem and TuneCore, we were very grateful that TuneCore offered generously to make that available to the workshop participants. In general, as a musician, you have to put down some money in order to get your music out there. They have a variety of different plans. There is one that's completely free and it distributes to social media sites, and there are others that are graduated at different levels. I think there's one that's $14.99 for like 15 USD, maybe one that's 30 USD, and something that's 60 USD, depending on what your needs are, if you're a record label, if you're an independent artist, if you're just getting started. So, if you want to make use of the platform, you can. It's just depending on what level you're interested. And so that's like a yearly unlimited fee or something like that, I think. Don't quote me on all the details of how their platform works. If you go to the platform, TuneCore.com, you can see exactly what the options are. And there are Sierra Leonean artists, of course, who are already in Spotify and Apple and all these other places, and there are different ways that they've, gotten themselves there too. So TuneCore is one important option. We have a great relationship with them, and it's a great option for people living here in Sierra Leone.
Yes, can any song be being distributed to TuneCore and as well as make some royalty when there is no quality in the production?
You mean like any song, no matter how it sounds?
No matter how it sounds, because of course people might say, okay, let me use the opportunity without properly providing or properly putting their work together. Like, of course, you mentioned, and Chuma mentioned the program about the 4 P's of marketing, and of course, quality as well is part of the production aspect. But sometimes people might, because this has been the problem of Sierra Leoneans, of course, they tend to just produce music anyhow. You understand? Not putting all in the area of lyrics, in the area of instrumentation, rhythm, and all of these, making the quality to sound like the Nigerians or the other African musicians that are eating the world right now. But they tend to do it as casual as it is. As long as it sounds pam, boom, bam, let's go, let's. So I'm a big artist, so I need to send it to TuneCore, because sometimes people might have the money but without no quality production. What would you say about that?
Yeah, that's an interesting question. I think there are 2 parts of it. One is about the quality of the music production, and one is about the technical aspect of getting it on the platforms. As far as I'm aware, if you have music that doesn't infringe any copyright, so if you're putting your own music up there, it doesn't sound like something that's already been copyrighted, and they check for that. If it's your own sound, and it's in the proper file format, then it goes up, and then the market decides whether or not it's good quality or not good quality, right? It's up to the listeners to decide if they want to listen to that. So in terms of the technical specifics, it has to, make sure that it's not infringing on anybody's copyright. You're not putting up music that belongs to somebody else, and it's in the right file format. And they do check that. When you upload music, if you make any mistake with your files for your songs, they come back and check and say, it sounds like this file is something, they actually listen to everything that goes up before it goes up. So that's the technical side of things. In terms of the quality of music production, I think this is like anything else that's part of a flourishing creative economy. So the reason we're using this frame, creative economy, is because when you look at the ways that creative industries contribute to the economy, there's a lot that we can do to further that. Potentially thinking also for the future, where we're looking at the fourth industrial revolution. We're looking at societies and economies that are driven by innovation and entrepreneurship and being on the edge of the next creative thing that's happening. Creative industries are a really important part and can contribute a lot towards the economy in that way. So part of what you're saying about the quality of the music production, if we can keep increasing the quality, keep increasing people's skills and capacity to produce, and this is why we've offered the music production master classes, then we're just continuing to contribute overall to the quality of the creative industries and the overall economic value that the country gets from that. So that is definitely something that's important.
Yes. As we try to round up, I think my co-presenter might have a question. Well, to try to round up, of course, would it be a normal routine for Telem on Common Sense to organize this kind of a workshop, like quarterly, so that the orientation and of course the awareness will be there all the time? Because Sierra Leone, of course, as well, the entertainers need this kind of thing, like a push syndrome. They need like this everyday push syndrome. Someone that will tell them, okay, don't give up, move, don't give up, move. Would it be like a repetition? Would it be like a thing that would be common to tell them every like quarterly? I want to just a suggestion because I was part of the conference.
Yeah, you were there, and it was wonderful to have you there and participating in that. I think one of the things we heard from our discussion is that there's a desire to keep building, let's call it the relational infrastructure between musicians so that they can be a complement to the industry players and also to the development of intellectual property regime, which is developing. We were fortunate to have a representative from the Office of the Administrator and Registrar General here in Sierra Leone, OARG, and they really are the ones that are showing leadership on the development of intellectual property. For our songs and our music to be protected, we need to make sure we have a collecting society. And in order to have a collecting society, we need to, amongst ourselves as musicians, organize ourselves together so that we can work together with other creative industries to make sure that becomes a reality. So I think what you're saying is right. In order to do that, we need to keep meeting with each other and building and little by little sort of putting all of the pieces together so that we can do that.
Yes. Yeah.
If I can, I just want to say another thing,
Okay.
Which is that Telem has two sort of events coming up.
Oh,
I mentioned
okay.
we have a show on November 26th.
Okay.
That will be at Lax Villa. And then we're also, next week, there's the National Youth Employment and Education Fair that's being hosted, I believe, at Bintumani by the Office of the Vice President, Ministry of Trade, and others. And so we will be performing there, but we're also Solo's Beats, and then Harold, Nat Johnson, who goes by Fret Walker, they're going to be hosting some live sessions with people who participate. So Solo's going to be hosting a live production session. If you have like a song idea and you want to try to build it out, you should come to the fair and work with Solo. We're going to have musical instruments there. We're going to have everything set up so it's possible to actually make some live music, jam together. And then Harold is going to be offering a workshop on the second day, which is the Wednesday of the conference, about careers in music. And he's developed a really successful career in music, so he's a great expert to hear.
And of course, Solo's Beats just released all of his album, and also I want to swear, released a song, Creative Mentality. Can you give us some just about it? The Solo's Beats album, and also the song, the video that Fret Walker just released.
Yes, I will do my best to speak about them. So Jungle Heart is the name of the album that Solo's Beat just released, and he released it with a number of artists are on songs on that album. It's available on Spotify, on Apple Music, on Boomplay, all of these places. He used TuneCore to upload that album. It's a fantastic album with lots of different genres and collaborations. It's really exciting. And then, Harold also just released a really interesting song that he did. If you look at it as a video, it looks like there's triplets of Harold. I don't know if you see the video, but
he's playing bass, guitar, and the keyboard,
exactly.
And also
he's playing three instruments at the same time. He's wearing three different outfits, and it's like, how did he do this? It's really creative, and the music, the sound itself is also very uncommon. So It's really cool to see these things, happening. Iyabode is another example. She has an EP that she's going to be releasing soon, and her music is also really beautiful and different and interesting. So there's so much great stuff there. We're really excited as Telem to be able to support it.
Thank
So
you.
the career event, is it open to everybody and it's free?
It's free.
Yeah, it's a national event.
Okay.
to anybody. And they're going to have lots of different kinds of sessions, workshops, not just focused on music, obviously. There are a lot of careers, but we're going to try to contribute to the creative quarter again with Orange.
What about Lax Villa? Is it also free or is it
That one
cost?
is not free. We have to try to keep ourselves going as Telem, so yeah, there will be different ticket prices depending on.
Like,
I think we're starting at 150 leons, and then we'll have some different options up to about 1,000 leons. It's different. Yeah, I'm excited. We're going to be releasing some information about that on our social media today. It's at Telem Freetown on Instagram.
okay.
Yeah.
Is that the only social media platforms you have for now?
That's the main one that we're using, yeah.
So thank you once again,
you
Kate
too.
Contreras, for having you. Of course, is the co-director of Telem on Common Sounds Freetown, and of course, she has been more instrumental to the entertainers here in Sierra Leone. Of course, we are proud to have you. Of course, because this has been the first time somebody might create a link between our digital streaming platform and, of course, the entertainers in Sierra Leone. Thank you once again, Kate.
Yeah, my pleasure.
Yes,